sometimes complicated and confusing question. And that's very simply this: why would I need an entrepreneur? Like, why would I need one? Like, what do they do and what value do they have? Right? So, whenever we try to find out, like, if something is for us, we generally try to compare it to other things, right? Like, what makes it different? Why would we even care? What's the point of what we're trying to evaluate at this point in time? So, what entrepreneurs are is that they are the internal innovators within an organization. Now, they're not meant for every single organization. Well, at least not me, right? I love to work with early stage growing companies, right? Companies roughly less than $100 million, between 5 and 100 million, so that we can actually move and operate with speed and innovate in ways that, quite honestly, most larger organizations are just too slow. There's too many people that need to review something. And opinions are like belly buttons. Everybody has one. And I don't really need someone else's opinion to help build something great, to help create revenue, to help create momentum within an organization. And large companies can be a little bit dusty, a little bit stale, a little bit slow, a little bit stuck. And stuck stinks. I don't want to work with stuck. So you might find other entrepreneurs that want to work with slow moving enterprises that don't really want change. But that's not my interest. Because what entrepreneurs are, who we are, is we have the entrepreneurial mindset. We think like entrepreneurs. You might say, well, how does an entrepreneur think? Well, they solve problems. They want to solve problems everywhere. They don't really care where the problem is. They want to solve it. Not only do they want to solve it, but they want to solve it fast. And they recognize, you know what, we're probably going to have to come back to this problem later because we're going to grow past it and then need to rebuild it later. So they have an entrepreneurial mindset. So when you're trying to orient yourself around, well, what other kinds of mindsets there are, in my mind, I keep it very simple. You either have an entrepreneurial mindset or you have an employee mindset. An employee mindset is, I do this list of things, somebody tells me what to do, and like clockwork, I do it every single day. I don't really think innovatively about anything, really. I'm not really interested in figuring out new and better and more creative ways of doing this laundry list of things I do all the time. And as a result, I, as an employee mindset person, would get slow and stale and stuck. Stuck stinks, whether you're a company or you're an individual. So entrepreneurs, we operate inside an organization. We can operate right alongside of your existing employees, but we operate with an entrepreneurial mindset. So we don't really see or experience or allow for ourselves to be inhibited by the functional demarcations of an organization. An easier way of saying that is, I don't care if that's your responsibility. If I see there's a better way of doing it, I'm going to bring it to you as a better way of doing it. And that can piss a lot of people off. It does. But here's what I want you to recognize is high performers will always upset the apple cart because people feel comfortable. They hide in the shadows of underperformance, of mediocre, of average. And average sucks. It sucks the life out of the entrepreneur, out of the visionary, out of the founder. It sucks the life out of the team. It sucks the life out of the business. It just sucks. But entrepreneurs, what we're doing is we're poking, we're prodding, we're asking questions, we're solving problems. Because when you look at the macro of an organization, whether it's small or whether it's large, there's an unmeasurable number of problems. Okay? Immeasurable, unmeasurable, you get the point. There are so many problems that you could fix them and always have more. Why? Because when you solve problems, you create more problems with that solution. You ever heard of the saying that certain solutions bring new problems to solve? That's this scenario. So business is all about solving problems, but it's not that easy. You have to solve them in the right order. In the right order. Now, imagine for a second, you're an employee and you're responsible for finance and accounts receivables, accounts payables, maybe both, maybe either or, but that's what you're responsible for. You don't really look over into operations, or maybe you peek over the line a little bit into sales and marketing, just to make sure everything's copacetic, just to make sure everybody's on budget. Now, am I saying, man, finance people are wrong? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is they're looking in the bounds of their perspective, the thing that they were taught, the thing that they studied, the ways that they ebb and flow within their bounds. They're not looking for ways to create exponential value in an organization. And that is the difference of an intrapreneur. An intrapreneur has an entrepreneurial mindset, right? And they have a variety of skill sets. Now, me as an entrepreneur, I might not be as good as you are in marketing, or as you are in sales, or as you are in operations. But for the 7 out of 10 that you might be in operations, I might be a 6, but I'm also a 7 in marketing. And I'm a 5.5 in sales. And I'm actually an 8 in IT. And I understand product development and creation. And I understand how to communicate with visionaries in ways that brings their vision to life, that decouples them from the day-to-day. Right? Because if I'm in an entrepreneurial mindset, I'm looking to solve problems. I'm looking to make decisions. I'm looking to move fast. If I'm an employee mindset, I'm looking to get answers for this clearly defined little box of problems. And I hit a roadblock. I can't go anywhere until somebody tells me what to do. Employees operate with maps. Entrepreneurs, entrepreneurial mindset of people, entrepreneurs create the maps. We operate without a map. We create it as we go. The old saying, as we're building the plane as we fly, it's the same scenario, especially when you're in those early stages, because so many things change as you build a course. So many things change as you build a business, as you build programs, as you put on events, as you awaken the sleeping giant that your business could be if you just put some time and attention into actually breathing life into it. But what you do is you suck it dry with stale culture, with small-minded people. Now here, don't hear what I'm not saying. I think employees are necessary, but they can't be responsible for driving innovation. They can't be responsible for thinking about things that haven't been thought about, for invention. They can't be responsible for galvanizing people around new things because they're comfortable in the old things. So entrepreneurs are entrepreneurial minded, right? They have a variety of skill sets, which allows for them to ebb and flow across the organization, solving problems with proficiency, right? Working with, not for, their entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs love the variety. They're highly performing people, so they don't actually are not that interested in just staying in one lane. Chances are, if you're listening to this right now and you're an entrepreneur, at some point in time in your career, somebody told you to stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane. Stay focused. Well, here's the thing. Staying focused is great as long as we can stay focused on solving a variety of problems. So what we do as entrepreneurs is we operate with a very specific, simplified framework to understand, how do we solve the problems in the organization when there's so many of them? How can we? Why should we? Why shouldn't we? Which ones to solve? It's overwhelming. Oh, I'm not going to do anything. That's not right. Here's what we do. We focus on the problem first. Okay? We magnify the problem. Look deeper. Look a little bit closer at the problem. And guess what happens? When you look closer at a problem, it multiplies. You see the granularity of the problem, so you can identify which ones are necessary to monetize. All problems can be tied to money, effectiveness, efficiency, revenue, right? Those things are all tied together. But here's the thing. If you don't know which ones to work on, What are you supposed to do? That's why step 2 is prioritize. We prioritize the problems that are the biggest opportunities in the organization to what? To create cash, to create momentum, to create growth, to create scale. Pretty simple, right? Not really. Not really, because problem priority, that's 2 steps. You can't really navigate complex organizations with just 2 steps. That 3rd step is procedure. Well, how is it currently being done? Now, I have a firm belief that most organizations at one point in time were oriented towards their goals and they were chugging along, but at some point in time they got stuck in the mud. So understanding how things are done or how things were done or some combination of the 2 allows for you to springboard your way into the future of what you want to try to accomplish. It's quite simple. There's a gap that exists in every human being, in every organization, in the entire world. It's the place that you're at and the place that you want to go. How do you mind that gap? How are you going to build the bridge? As the founder, as the entrepreneur, right? As the visionary, how are you going to build the bridge? Well, here's what you probably did. You probably started to build around yourself, right? You were the center and you were the brains and you were the vision. So you started to hire people, but you hired entrepreneurs. No, sorry. You hired employees, not entrepreneurs. So because you hired somebody for this role and that role and this role, you are the center of the hub. They come to you for answers. They come to you to understand what to do and when to do it and why to do it. They come to you for approval and review and acceptance. They come to you. How are you supposed to grow the business, the brand, the movement, the ministry, the nonprofit, if everyone comes to you? How are you supposed to be out in front? How? Intrapreneurs. Intrapreneurs remove you from the day-to-day and insert ourselves. Why? Because that connection to the rest of the team does a couple of things. Number 1, it brings speed and time leverage for you. Go out and do your thing. We can continually communicate with you as the founder, as the entrepreneur, as what the top priorities are. And because of the diverse skill sets and the entrepreneurial spirit, we're hungry to solve for this outcome, right? Now that outcome might be far away from this reality, but entrepreneurs are the bridge that you build from point A to point B, not employees. They pull you down. Now, they're going to help you engineer that straight line. I wish it was a straight line, right? That bridge from point A to point B. But they're not the ones that are going to innovate. They're not the ones that are going to think outside the box. They're not the ones that are going to try to create offers that you haven't created for. Why? Because they like predictable outcomes. Human beings don't like change. Unless you're an entrepreneur, unless you're a change agent, a catalyst within that organization. That's who we are. That's what we do. So it comes back down to the age-old question of, if you knew where you want to go, and you know if you could do and would do and should do these things, why aren't you doing them? Well, you probably don't have the right people in place, or probably don't have the right leader in place. Not that founders and entrepreneurs and visionaries aren't great leaders. They're wonderful leaders, but they're not meant to lead while innovating out front. You need somebody who carries your mindset, who carries your heart, who carries your vision internally, to be the internal entrepreneur, an intrapreneur. So we have an entrepreneurial mindset, a diverse skill set, a hunger and a level of high performance that keeps things moving, right? And the ability to take vision and build it, create it, implement it, rinse and repeat, right? We call this co-missioning, right? Co-missioning is really simple. We're going on mission with you together to this destination, right? This destination is where you want to go. This is where you're at. How are you going to get from there to there? You're going to share your vision. We're going to build based off of that vision. Is it going to be perfect? Nope. It's not. Why not? Why can't it be perfect? Well, because that's just not how growth works. The way that it works is actually really simple. You build it in thin little slices. Have you ever seen a bridge that was all one piece of concrete? Right? No, there's lots and lots and lots of posts and pillars and all the things to hold the bridge up. Whether it's in the ground or in a suspension, that bridge is being held up. It's being held up by small increments of support. Those are thin slices, right? We call them minimum viable product. It allows for us to create a small amount of functionality within the organization, manage change effectively internally and externally while simultaneously building what matters, creating cash, creating outcomes, not only for you as the visionary or you as the organization, but also for your customers. Okay, so that co-missioning matters. We're going on mission together. Now, here's what most visionaries are. Well, I don't want an entrepreneur coming into my business and taking my business. Entrepreneurs aren't interested in taking your business. Entrepreneurs find value. They find value and purpose, excitement, motivation to take your vision and bring it into reality. Now, why the heck would they even care about that? It's a good question. It's a good question. Just like entrepreneurs like to solve problems and create outcomes out there, entrepreneurs like to create outcomes in here. So the result is a higher performing team, more communication. It's higher performance. It's faster deliverables. It's bigger growth. And it changes the culture. It changes the face of the organization. Because for me personally, I can't speak on behalf of all entrepreneurs, although I have a tendency to do so. I would say this: it is the most important thing for us as entrepreneurs to serve entrepreneurial visionaries so that the great things that they want to bring into the world don't die on the battlefield of entrepreneurship. Now, if you're watching this, you probably have had that experience, an idea. You just can't get people behind it. Or you try to implement it and you get so frustrated you want to fire the whole team because they just don't get it. And you're underwater, you're overwhelmed, there's so much on your plate, and nobody seems to be able to take anything off your plate. It's time to hire an entrepreneur. Now, when you build, this is key. When you build, the phases of your business matter. Whether you're launching something new, growing something, trying to get unstuck, or scaling something. The flavors of each of those phases are 100% important as you navigate what you're trying to create. So, why entrepreneurs? What do they do? Who are they? They're people with entrepreneurial mindsets. They're curious. They have high levels of skill set and a diversity of skill set. They're high performers. They operate with a co-missioning mindset and heart, right? They have a spirit of grace towards bringing something that's not their own, a surrogate, into the world, your idea, your solution into the world. And ultimately, we're builders, we're executors, right? We're finishers. It's one thing that I love to say to my team, and I love to say just everywhere that I can when I talk to visionaries, is this: it's do and be, not just oversee. What you're going to find is that the people that you bring in that are the solutions to your problems, the people who are going to get you launched in this new market or create this new thing for your business or get you unstuck or finally help you get to the next level, it's this, right? Most people want to oversee and organize, but that's dead weight. It's time to do and be, not just oversee. So entrepreneurs are doers. We execute on the thing. We navigate and pioneer this new thing, and then it's time to hand it off to the administrators of those things, to people who can manage it over long periods of time. Because guess what? Once I build it, somebody else can maintain it and improve it. It takes a higher level of skill set to build, to pioneer, to entrepreneur, to create than it does for somebody to maintain. It's the difference between entrepreneurs and employees. So you got to ask yourself, do you need another employee? Do you need another consultant, integrator who's going to oversee things? Or is it time to finally consider an intrapreneur? I'll let you answer that question.